The conference room explodes with shouting. Papers fly through the air as a middle-aged executive storms out, his face bright red with rage. Inside, 23-year-old Jaehyun sits calmly at the head of the table, adjusting his glasses. His boss, Mr. Kim, points a trembling finger at him. "You just called our biggest client fat, stupid, and boring," to his face during a pitch meeting. Jaehyun nods slowly. "Yes, because he is fat, stupid, and boring. He also has terrible breath, and his business idea would bankrupt us in 6 months. I was being helpful." Mr. Kim's eye twitches. "You're fired. That's the 47th job you've lost this year." Jaehyun stands, straightening his tie. "Technically, it's been 11 months, not a full year, and you should fire Manager Park too. He's been stealing office supplies and sleeping with your wife." The room goes silent. Manager Park's face turns white. Mr. Kim lunges across the table, but security drags him back. As Jaehyun walks out of the building for the last time, he whispers to himself, "Why can't I just shut up? If you're already hooked, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Trust me, this story gets wild. Now let's continue." That evening, Jaehyun sits alone in his tiny apartment, surrounded by termination letters from 47 different companies. His phone rings. It's his older brother, Minwoo. "Mom wants you at dinner tomorrow. The investors are coming. Please, little brother, just this once, keep your mouth shut." Jaehyun closes his eyes. "I've tried for 23 years, Hyung. I can't control it. Every thought becomes words. I've seen doctors, therapists, shamans. Nothing works." Minwoo's voice softens. "I know. But father says if you ruin this merger, he's cutting you off completely. This is our family's future." After hanging up, Jaehyun stares at his reflection in the darkened window. He remembers being 7 years old, telling his grandmother her kimchi tasted like garbage. She died a week later, and his last words to her were an insult he didn't mean. The curse started that day. Ever since, every honest thought escapes his mouth before he can stop it. Meanwhile, across the city in a luxury penthouse, Anne is finishing a video call with her 20th client of the day. She's wearing a crisp white blazer, her natural hair styled perfectly in a high puff. "Mr. Choi, by tomorrow morning, the media will believe your scandal never happened. Your reputation will be cleaner than it was before. That's what you pay me for." She ends the call, and her assistant, Rachel, enters with champagne. "Another disaster turned into a fairy tale. You're incredible." Anne smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "It's all smoke and mirrors, Rachel. Give people the story they want to believe, and they'll ignore the truth every single time." Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She almost ignores it, but something makes her answer. "Anne speaking." A woman's voice, elegant and urgent. "Ms. Anne, my name is Kim Yuna. I need the best fixer in Seoul. Money is no object." Anne leans forward. "I'm listening." The next morning, Anne arrives at the Kim family estate in Gangnam. The mansion is obscene, 3 floors of marble and gold, with a garden that could fit her entire childhood neighborhood. Mrs. Kim greets her wearing more diamonds than Anne has seen in her entire life. "Thank you for coming on such short notice." Anne follows her inside to a private sitting room, where Mr. Kim, a stern man in his 60s, waits with Minwoo. "Our family is finalizing a merger with Hansung Corporation. $500 million. It will make us one of the most powerful families in Korea." Anne nods, pulling out her tablet. "And you need me to manage the media narrative around the deal." Mr. Kim shakes his head. "No, we need you to fix our son." He slides a folder across the table. Anne opens it and her eyes widen. Page after page of incident reports. Jaehyun calling a senator corrupt during a live broadcast. Jaehyun telling a celebrity her acting was terrible at a charity gala. Jaehyun informing a priest that his sermon was hypocritical and poorly researched. Your son has a filter problem, Anne says carefully. Mrs. Kim's voice cracks. He has no filter at all. He cannot lie, physically cannot. Every thought comes out of his mouth. He's destroyed every opportunity we've given him. Minwoo adds, in 3 weeks we have the merger announcement dinner. Investors, media, government officials. If Jaehyun says one wrong thing, the entire deal collapses. Our family will be ruined. Anne closes the folder. You want me to teach him to lie? Mr. Kim's eyes are desperate. We want you to save our son and our family. We'll pay you $3 million. $1 million now, $2 million when he successfully gets through the dinner without causing a scandal. Anne's heart races. $3 million would change her life, clear her mother's medical debts, buy the house she promised her younger siblings. But teaching someone to lie, that's not managing a scandal, that's reshaping a human being. I'll need full access to him, every day for 3 weeks, and if he refuses to cooperate, the deal is off. Mrs. Kim nods. Whatever you need. Anne stands, smoothing her skirt. Then introduce me to the man who cannot lie. Before we meet Jaehyun, do me a favor and hit that like button if you're enjoying this story. It really helps, and comment below which character you're rooting for already. Now let's see what happens when Anne and Jaehyun finally meet. They bring her to a small house behind the main estate. We built this for him after he told the housekeepers they were terrible at their jobs and should find new careers. 3 of them quit the same day. Mrs. Kim knocks on the door. No answer. She knocks again. Jaehyun, we have a guest. The door opens. Anne finds herself staring at a man in wrinkled sweatpants and an old t-shirt, his hair a mess, eyes tired but sharp. For 3 seconds, they just look at each other. Then Jaehyun speaks. You're the fixer my parents hired. You're prettier than I expected, which is manipulative because pretty people get trusted more easily. Your perfume is expensive, but you're wearing too much, probably to mask insecurity. Your posture is perfect, practiced, fake. You smile with your mouth but not your eyes, which means you lie for a living, and you're good at it. I find you annoying, impressive, and unfortunately, attractive, which bothers me because I don't like manipulative people. Anne blinks. Once, twice. Then she starts laughing. Not a polite laugh. A real, surprised, slightly horrified laugh. Oh, you're going to be a problem. Mrs. Kim looks mortified. Jaehyun, apologize right now. But Anne holds up her hand. No, don't. She steps closer to Jaehyun, her eyes locked on his. You think I'm manipulative? You're right. You think my smile is fake? Absolutely. You think I lie for a living? That's literally my job description. She moves even closer, and Jaehyun doesn't back away. But here's what you don't know about me yet. I'm the best at what I do because I understand something you clearly don't. The truth doesn't set you free. It just makes you lonely. Jaehyun's jaw tightens. I'd rather be lonely and honest than popular and fake. Anne smiles, and this time it reaches her eyes. Perfect. Then we have a deal. I'm going to teach you how to be fake. Starting tomorrow, 8 a.m. Don't be late. She turns and walks away, leaving the Kim family stunned. Minwoo whispers, Is she always like that? Mrs. Kim shakes her head slowly. I have no idea, but I think I just watched 2 storms meet each other. That night, Anne sits in her apartment researching Jaehyun. Medical records, psychological evaluations, incident reports going back 15 years. Every expert says the same thing. No physical cause, no psychological disorder, no explanation. He simply cannot lie. Her phone rings. It's her best friend and business partner, Marcus. I heard you took the Kim case. Anne, are you crazy? You can't teach someone to lie. That's not fixing a scandal. That's playing God. Anne stares at Jaehyun's photo on her screen. $3 million, Marcus. And besides, maybe I'm curious. Marcus sighs. Curious about what? Anne doesn't answer right away. Finally, she says, what it's like to meet someone who can't hide who they are, even from themselves. She hangs up and keeps reading. There's a note in one of the therapy reports that catches her attention. When asked why he thinks he can't lie, Jaehyun said, "Because I already told the worst lie of my life, and I've been paying for it ever since." Anne leans back in her chair. What lie? What could a 7-year-old have said that cursed him with permanent honesty? The next morning, Anne arrives at Jaehyun's house at exactly 8 a.m. She's carrying 2 coffee cups and a briefcase. When he opens the door, still in sweatpants, she thrusts a coffee at him. "Drink. We have work to do." Jaehyun takes the coffee and sips it. "This is terrible. Too much sugar. Did you make it sweet hoping I'd like you more?" Anne walks past him into the house. "I made it sweet because I like sweet coffee and I only bought one. That one's yours. It's black, no sugar, because bitter people love bitter things." Jaehyun almost smiles. Almost. "You researched me." Anne sets her briefcase on his coffee table and opens it, pulling out a stack of papers. "I researched everything. Your medical history, your family dynamics, every job you've lost, every relationship you've destroyed. I know you better than you know yourself." Jaehyun sits across from her. "Then you know this is pointless. I've tried to change. I can't." Anne meets his eyes. "You've tried to stop being honest. That's not what I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to be honest in ways that don't destroy everything you touch." Jaehyun leans back, suspicious. "That sounds like word games." Anne opens her laptop and turns it toward him. On the screen is a video of a corporate executive giving a press conference. The man is clearly lying, but he does it so smoothly that the reporters eat it up. "This man embezzled $40 million. I helped him avoid prison. Watch how he does it. He never says I didn't do it. He says I understand why people are concerned, and I take these accusations seriously." He acknowledges emotion without admitting guilt. That's the art of strategic truth. Jaehyun watches the video, his expression unreadable. "You helped a criminal go free." Anne doesn't flinch. "I helped a human being get a second chance. His company employed 3,000 people. If he went to prison, they'd all lose their jobs. Sometimes lies protect more people than truth destroys." Jaehyun stands abruptly. "That's exactly the kind of moral gymnastics that makes the world worse." Anne closes her laptop and stands too, stepping into his space. "And your brutal honesty makes it better. How many people have you hurt? How many relationships have you burned? How many opportunities have you destroyed? Not because you wanted to, but because you couldn't control your mouth." Her words hit like punches. Jaehyun's hands clench into fists. "I didn't ask for this curse." Anne's voice softens just slightly. "I know, but you're 23 years old, and you're living in a shed behind your parents' house because you've alienated everyone who ever tried to love you, so you can keep being righteous and alone, or you can let me help you." For a long moment, they just stare at each other. Finally, Jaehyun sits back down. "Fine, teach me." Anne smiles. "Good. Lesson 1. Silence. You don't have to say every true thing you think. Practice saying nothing." She pulls out a series of photos. "I'm going to show you pictures. You're going to have thoughts. Don't speak them out loud. Just sit there and be quiet." She shows him the first photo. It's a woman in an ugly dress. Jaehyun's mouth opens immediately. That dress makes her look like a diseased eggplant, and Anne snaps her fingers in front of his face. "Stop! I didn't ask for your opinion. I just showed you a picture." Silence is also an option. Jaehyun struggles visibly, his jaw working like he's physically restraining words. "It's harder than you think," he mutters. Anne shows him another picture. A businessman with an obviously bad toupee. Jaehyun's leg bounces nervously. but he stays quiet for 5 seconds. Then 10, then 15. Anne nods. Good, you're learning. They practice for 3 hours straight. By noon, Jaehyun has managed to stay silent through 37 photos, though sweat beads on his forehead from the effort. Anne stands and stretches. Enough for today. Same time tomorrow. Jaehyun looks exhausted. This won't work. The harder I try not to speak, the more pressure builds. Eventually, everything explodes out at once. Anne pauses at the door. Then we'll teach you how to let off pressure slowly instead of all at once. Baby steps, Jaehyun. Baby steps. After she leaves, Jaehyun sits alone in the silence. For the first time in years, someone didn't give up on him after one day. He's not sure if that makes Anne incredibly patient or incredibly stupid. If you're still watching, drop a comment and let me know what you think of Anne and Jaehyun so far. And don't forget to like this video. Your support means everything. Over the next week, Anne comes every single day. They practice different scenarios. She brings her assistant Rachel to role-play as a difficult client. Jaehyun has to respond without insulting her. The first 6 attempts fail spectacularly. Your voice is grating, your ideas are mediocre, and your outfit looks like you got dressed in the dark. Rachel looks genuinely hurt, until Anne reminds her, it's just practice. On the 7th attempt, Jaehyun manages to say, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, instead of what he's really thinking. It nearly kills him. Sweat drips down his face and his hands shake, but he does it. Anne actually claps. See, you can do this. Jaehyun collapses back on the couch. That felt like dying. Anne sits next to him, closer than she has before. Lying always feels like dying at first. Then it becomes second nature. Then it becomes who you are. Be grateful it's still hard for you. Jaehyun looks at her. Really looks at her. How many times a day do you lie? Anne doesn't hesitate. Hundreds, maybe thousands if you count smiles and nods and polite compliments I don't mean. Jaehyun frowns. Doesn't that exhaust you? Anne stands and walks to the window. Every single day. That night, Anne returns to her office to find Marcus waiting with bad news. Min-seo knows about the Kim case. She's digging into Jaehyun's past. If she finds something before you fix him, she'll leak it to destroy both him and your reputation. Anne's jaw tightens. Min-seo is her only real competitor in the fixing business. A ruthless woman who believes the only way to the top is by pushing everyone else down. Let her dig. There's nothing to find. Marcus shakes his head. Everyone has secrets, Anne. Everyone. After he leaves, Anne pulls up Jaehyun's files again. She keeps coming back to that one therapy note. The worst lie of my life. What did a 7-year-old say that broke him so completely? The next morning, Anne changes tactics. Instead of practicing lies, she asks Jaehyun to tell her about his childhood. Why? He asks suspiciously. Anne sits across from him, her expression gentler than usual. Because maybe your curse isn't about lying. Maybe it's about something else. Jaehyun's walls go up immediately. You're not my therapist. Anne nods. You're right, I'm not. But I'm the person trying to help you, and I can't do that if you won't let me understand what I'm actually dealing with. For a long time, Jaehyun says nothing. Then quietly, I told my grandmother her kimchi was disgusting. She'd spent hours making it for my birthday. She just wanted me to be happy. And I looked at her and said her cooking was terrible, and I hated eating at her house. His voice cracks. She died 6 days later, heart attack, and the last thing I ever said to her was an insult. Anne's chest tightens. Jaehyun, you were 7 years old. 7-year-olds say thoughtless things. That's not a curse, that's being a child. Jaehyun shakes his head. But I saw her face. I saw how much it hurt her, and I couldn't take it back. I wanted to lie, to say I was joking, to say anything to fix it. But the truth was already out there. And then she died, and I never got to tell her I loved her more than anything in the world. Tears streamed down his face now. So yes, I told the worst lie. I let her die thinking I hated her cooking, when the truth was I loved everything about her. My silence was the lie, and I've been paying for it every day since. Anne moves to sit beside him. Without thinking, she takes his hand. Then maybe the answer isn't teaching you to lie. Maybe it's teaching you to tell better truths. Jaehyun looks at their joined hands, then at her face. What do you mean? Anne squeezes gently. You could have said, Grandmother, this kimchi is different from what I'm used to, but I love that you made it for me. That's still honest. It's just kinder. You're not lying about the taste, but you're prioritizing her feelings over your opinion. Jaehyun stares at her like she just revealed a secret of the universe. I never thought of it that way. Anne smiles, because you've been so focused on not lying that you forgot truth has 1,000 different faces. Some are gentle, some are brutal. You get to choose which face to show. Something shifts between them in that moment. The air feels different, charged. Jaehyun doesn't let go of her hand. You're not what I expected. Anne's smile turns playful. What did you expect? Jaehyun's brutal honesty surfaces. But this time it's softer. Someone cold, someone who only cared about money and reputation. But you actually care if I get better. Not just for the job, for me. Anne's breath catches. She should pull her hand away, should remind him this is professional, should rebuild the walls. Instead, she says, you're not what I expected either. The moment breaks when Anne's phone buzzes. It's a text from Marcus. Minseo found something. Call me now. Anne pulls away, her mask sliding back into place. I have to go. Same time tomorrow. She's out the door, before Jaehyun can respond. In her car, she calls Marcus. What did Minseo find? Marcus's voice is grim. The grandmother, Jaehyun's grandmother. Minseo's planning to leak a story that Jaehyun verbally abused his dying grandmother, that the family paid to keep it quiet, and that you're helping them cover up elder abuse. Anne's blood runs cold. That's not what happened. He was a child. Marcus sighs. Doesn't matter. The story is sensational. It'll go viral, and it'll destroy both Jaehyun and your credibility as a fixer. She's releasing it in 48 hours unless you drop the case. Anne closes her eyes. I'm not dropping the case. Marcus is quiet for a moment. Anne, you're getting too close to this one. I can hear it in your voice. This isn't just about the money anymore, is it? Anne doesn't answer. She hangs up and sits in her car, hands gripping the steering wheel. She has 2 days to either abandon Jaehyun or figure out how to protect him from a scandal that will destroy everything he's worked to build. That evening, Anne goes to see Minseo directly. They meet at an expensive restaurant in Gangnam. Minseo is beautiful, polished, every inch the successful fixer. She smiles when Anne sits down. I wondered when you'd come. Anne doesn't waste time. The grandmother story is trash and you know it. He was 7 years old. Minseo sips her wine. But it's a story people will believe. And it'll ruin you both. Unless... Anne leans forward. Unless what? Minseo's smile sharpens. Drop the Kim case. Walk away. I'll make the story disappear. You keep your reputation. He keeps his dignity. Everyone wins. Anne's jaw tightens. Except you get the $3 million contract and the most powerful family in Seoul becomes your client instead of mine. Minseo laughs. Now you're understanding how this works. Come on, Anne. You're good, but you can't fix someone who's fundamentally broken. Jaehyun will sabotage himself eventually. Why go down with him? Anne stands slowly. Because unlike you, I don't abandon people just because they're difficult. She turns to leave, then pauses. And Minseo, if you release that story, I'll destroy you. Not today, not tomorrow, but I'll find every lie you've ever told, every client you've ever betrayed, and I'll make sure the whole world knows exactly who you really are. Minseo's smile doesn't waver, but her eyes go cold. Try it. Anne drives straight to Jaehyun's house. It's almost midnight. She shouldn't be here. This is unprofessional. But she knocks anyway. Jaehyun opens the door, surprised. Anne, it's midnight. She pushes past him into the house. We have a problem. A big one. She explains everything. Minseo, the grandmother story, the 48-hour deadline. Jaehyun listens quietly, his expression unreadable. When she finishes, he says, "So you should drop me as a client. It's the smart move." Anne spins to face him. "Is that what you want? You want me to abandon you?" Jaehyun's voice is flat. "I want you to protect yourself. Everyone always leaves eventually. You might as well do it now before you get hurt." Anne steps closer, anger flashing in her eyes. "Stop deciding what's best for me. Stop pushing people away before they can choose to stay. Maybe I want to fight for you. Has that occurred to you?" Jaehyun's carefully controlled expression cracks. "Why? Why would you fight for me? You barely know me." Anne's voice drops to almost a whisper. "Because in 2 weeks, you've been more real with me than anyone has been in my entire life. Because you see through every mask I wear and you still show up every day. Because teaching you to lie is teaching me how to tell the truth. And because..." She stops herself. Jaehyun takes a step toward her. "Because what?" Anne shakes her head. "This is inappropriate. You're my client. I shouldn't..." Jaehyun closes the distance between them. "Say it. Whatever you're thinking. Be honest with me." Anne's heart pounds. "I like you, not as a client, not as a job, as a person, and that terrifies me because I don't know how to do real. I only know how to do fake." Jaehyun reaches up slowly and touches her face, giving her every chance to pull away. She doesn't. "Then let me teach you," he says softly. "You've been teaching me how to be fake. Let me teach you how to be real." And then he kisses her. It's gentle at first, tentative, like neither of them knows how. This works without their armor. Then, Anne's hands grip his shirt and the kiss deepens, messy and desperate and completely honest. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Anne whispers, "We can't do this. The job, the money, your family." Jaehyun's brutal honesty cuts through. "I don't care about any of that. Do you want this or not?" Anne closes her eyes. When she opens them, her masks are gone. "Yes. God help me. Yes." We're getting close to the end, but before we get there, make sure you've liked this video and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment telling me if you saw this twist coming. And now, let's see how this impossible situation resolves. They spend the night talking, really talking, until the sun comes up. Anne tells him about growing up in a small town in Georgia, being the only black girl in her school, learning early that she had to be twice as good and twice as careful, to be taken half as seriously. She tells him about building her business from nothing, about the exhaustion of being perfect all the time, about how lonely it is to have 1,000 clients and not a single real friend. Jaehyun tells her about the isolation of his curse, about watching people's faces close off when he speaks, about his brother's pity and his parents' disappointment, about how he built walls so high that even he forgot what he was protecting. As dawn light filters through the windows, Anne checks her phone. 24 hours until Minseo releases the story. Jaehyun sees her expression change. "Whatever happens, I don't regret this." Anne looks at him, this man who cannot lie, who's somehow become the most important person in her world. "I won't let her destroy you." Jaehyun takes her hand. "Then let's beat her at her own game." Anne calls an emergency meeting with the Kim family. Mrs. Kim, Mr. Kim, and Minwoo gather in the main house library. Anne stands before them with Jaehyun at her side. Min Seo is planning to release a false story about Jaehyun and his grandmother. It'll destroy his reputation and tank the merger. We have less than 24 hours. Mr. Kim's face hardens. Can you stop her? Anne shakes her head. No, but we can beat her to it. We tell the story ourselves, the true story, about a 7-year-old boy who said something thoughtless and has spent his entire life annoyed, unable to forgive himself, about a young man who can't lie because he's terrified of hurting people the way he hurt her. We make him sympathetic instead of scandalous. Mrs. Kim looks uncertain. That's incredibly vulnerable. It exposes everything. Anne's voice is steady. Yes, it's completely honest, which is exactly why it'll work. People are tired of perfect images and polished lies. They're hungry for real stories, real pain, real growth. We give them that. Minwoo looks at his brother. Jaehyun, are you okay with this? Jaehyun takes a deep breath. For the first time in years, he's not alone in making this choice. Anne squeezes his hand. I'm okay with it. Anne's right. The truth is the only weapon that's stronger than a lie. Anne spends the next 12 hours crafting the perfect press release. She writes it in Jaehyun's voice, honest and raw and vulnerable. She sends it to every major media outlet in Seoul with an exclusive interview offer. At the same time, she creates a video. Just Jaehyun, sitting in a simple room, telling his story. No edits, no polish, no mask. He talks about his grandmother, about his curse, about his failures and his loneliness, and his desperate wish to just be normal. About learning that maybe normal isn't the goal, maybe authentic is. The video goes live at 6 p.m. By 7 p.m. it has 200,000 views. By 8 p.m. it's trending #1 in Korea. The comments flood in. This made me cry. I've never seen someone be this honest. He's brave for sharing this. I said terrible things to my parents before they passed. I understand his pain. Min Seo's carefully crafted scandal story drops at 9 p.m. It barely makes a ripple. Everyone's already seen the truth, told beautifully and honestly. Her version just looks cruel and calculated by comparison. Anne's phone rings. It's Min Seo. Anne answers with a smile. I told you I'd destroy you if you came after him. Min Seo's voice is ice. You got lucky. Anne laughs. No, I just remembered something you forgot. The truth is always more powerful than a good lie. People are starving for authenticity. I just gave them a feast. She hangs up and turns to Jaehyun, who's reading comments on the video. Tears streaming down his face. They don't hate me, he whispers. They understand. Anne wraps her arms around him. Of course they do. You showed them your heart. How could anyone hate that? The merger dinner is in 5 days. The Kim family is grateful. The media is sympathetic. And Jaehyun is suddenly more famous than his brother Oz ever was. But not for his looks or his charm. For his honesty. For being broken and brave enough to show it. The night before the merger dinner, Anne and Jaehyun sit on his small porch under the stars. Are you nervous? Anne asks. Jaehyun nods. Terrified, but for the first time I'm not terrified of being myself. I'm just terrified of messing up something that matters. Anne takes his hand. You won't. And even if you do, I'll be right there with you. Jaehyun looks at her seriously. After tomorrow, after the dinner, you'll get your $3 million. You won't need to see me anymore. The job will be done. Anne's chest tightens. She hadn't thought about that. About what happens when the contract ends. Is that what you want? Jaehyun's brutal honesty surfaces, but it's gentle now. I want you to stay because you want to stay. Not because my family is paying you. I want to know if this is real or if I'm just another job to you. Anne stands and pulls him to his feet. Jaehyun, I fell for you somewhere between teaching you to lie and learning to tell the truth. This stopped being a job the moment you kissed me, maybe even before that. So yes, it's real. Terrifyingly, complicatedly, beautifully real. The merger dinner is held in a 5-star hotel ballroom. 300 guests, including government ministers, corporate executives, and media personalities. The Kim family arrives early. Jaehyun wears a perfectly tailored suit. Anne stands beside him in a stunning navy dress, her natural hair styled in elegant braids. Mrs. Kim hugs Anne tightly. Thank you for saving my son. Not just his reputation, his soul. The dinner begins. Jaehyun sits at the head table between his father and the Hansung Corporation CEO, a stern older man named Mr. Park. For the first 3 courses, Jaehyun uses everything Anne taught him. He listens more than he speaks. He asks thoughtful questions. He lets silence be his friend. Mr. Park warms to him, impressed by his careful consideration. Then dessert arrives, and Mr. Park makes a comment. Your video was quite touching. Very clever. Marketing. Your fixer did an excellent job spinning your weakness into strength. The table goes quiet. Jaehyun's jaw tightens. He looks at Anne across the room. She gives him the smallest nod. Your choice. Jaehyun turns to Mr. Park and speaks clearly. It wasn't marketing. It wasn't spin. It was the truth. And Anne didn't fix me. She helped me understand that my honesty isn't a weakness. It's the only real thing I have. In a room full of people pretending to like each other for business reasons, I'm the only one saying what I actually think. That makes me dangerous, but it also makes me trustworthy. Mr. Park's expression is unreadable. Then slowly, he smiles. You're right. Everyone in this room is lying about something, except you. That is dangerous. But perhaps that's exactly what this merger needs. Someone who will tell us when we're making mistakes instead of just agreeing to protect their position. He extends his hand. I think we'll work well together, Jaehyun. The merger is signed. The room erupts in applause. The Kim family breathes again. As the guests mingle over champagne, Jaehyun finds Anne on the balcony overlooking the city lights. We did it, he says softly. Anne smiles. You did it. I just helped you find the courage you already had. Jaehyun takes both her hands. So what happens now? Do you go back to fixing other people's lives? Do I go back to hiding in my little house? Anne shakes her head. I think we figure out how to build something real together. No masks, no scripts, just us, trying to be honest about what we feel and what we want. Jaehyun pulls her closer. And what do you want? Anne's voice is steady and sure. You. This. Whatever messy, complicated, beautiful thing we're creating. Jaehyun kisses her, and for once, neither of them is thinking about truth or lies or what anyone else might think. They're just 2 people who found each other in the most unlikely way, learning that sometimes the most honest thing you can do is admit you don't have all the answers. 3 months later, Anne opens a new kind of business. Instead of fixing scandals by hiding truth, she helps people tell their stories authentically. Jaehyun joins her, using his curse as a superpower, consulting with companies to create cultures of honest feedback instead of polite lies. They work together, fight together, laugh together. On the 6-month anniversary of their first meeting, Jaehyun takes Anne back to his grandmother's grave. He places fresh flowers and speaks to her quietly. I'm sorry for what I said. I loved your kimchi. I loved everything about you, and I'm finally learning that honesty doesn't mean saying every cruel thought. It means having the courage to say the true things that matter, like, I love you, and I miss you, and I hope wherever you are you know that I turned out okay. Anne stands beside him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. When he finishes, she kneels and places her own flower on the grave. Mrs. Kim, I never got to meet you, but I want you to know your grandson is one of the best men I've ever known, and I think a lot of that is because you loved him enough that losing you broke his heart. That kind of love doesn't just disappear. It shaped him into someone who refuses to take connection for granted. They sit together in the quiet cemetery for a long time, just being present. On the drive back, Jaehyun's phone rings. It's his brother Minwoo. "Little brother, you're not going to believe this. 3 companies have called asking specifically for you to consult on their corporate culture. They saw your interviews and they want the man who cannot lie to help them build honest workplaces." Jaehyun looks at Anne, who's driving, a smile playing at her lips. "Tell them I'm interested, but they need to understand I don't work alone anymore. It's a package deal." That evening, they celebrate at Anne's apartment. Marcus and Rachel join them, along with Minwoo and, surprisingly, Jaehyun's parents. Mrs. Kim brings homemade kimchi, and when she serves it to Jaehyun, everyone holds their breath. He takes a bite, chews thoughtfully, and says, "Mom, this is really good. Different from grandmother's recipe, but I can taste that you made it with love. That's what makes it special." Mrs. Kim's eyes fill with tears. She hugs her son tightly. "You've learned so much, Jaehyun. Not just how to soften your words, but how to let people love you again." Mr. Kim raises his glass. "To Anne, who taught our son that honesty and kindness aren't opposites. And to Jaehyun, who taught all of us that truth doesn't have to be a weapon." They toast and laugh and share stories late into the night. At one point, Rachel pulls Anne aside. "I've worked with you for 3 years and I've never seen you this happy. Like, genuinely, not performing for anyone happy." Anne watches Jaehyun animatedly explaining something to Marcus, his hands gesturing wildly, his face completely open. "I spent so long building walls and wearing masks that I forgot what it felt like to just be myself. He gave me permission to stop pretending." As the guests leave, Minwoo pulls Jaehyun into a tight hug. "I'm proud of you, little brother. You didn't just survive your curse. You turned it into your greatest strength." After everyone's gone, Anne and Jaehyun stand on her balcony looking out at the Seoul skyline. The city glitters with a million lights, each one representing someone's story, someone's truth, someone's carefully constructed lie. "Do you ever regret it?" Jaehyun asks quietly. "Taking my case, getting tangled up in my complicated life?" Anne leans against him, "Not for a single second. You know what's funny? I was hired to teach you how to lie. But you're the one who taught me how to live honestly, how to stop hiding behind my professional mask, how to let people see the scared, imperfect, real me underneath all the polish." Jaehyun wraps his arms around her. "And you taught me that honesty without compassion is just cruelty with a moral excuse. That truth has 1,000 faces, and choosing which face to show is an act of love, not deception." The next morning, Anne wakes to find Jaehyun already up, sitting at her kitchen table with his laptop. "What are you working on so early?" He turns the screen toward her. "It's a proposal for a new initiative, the Honesty Project, a non-profit that helps people learn to communicate truthfully without causing harm. Workshops for companies, schools, families, resources for people who struggle with brutal honesty or pathological lying, a middle path between cruel truth and kind deception." "I've been thinking about this for weeks," Jaehyun says. "We could actually help people, not just fix their public image, but genuinely teach them better ways to connect with each other." Anne sits beside him, reading through his detailed plans. It's thoughtful, comprehensive, and completely aligned with everything they've learned together. This is brilliant, but it's going to be a lot of work. Long hours, difficult conversations. Are you ready for that? Jaehyun looks at her with those clear, honest eyes that first unsettled and then captivated her. "Are you ready to do it with me?" Anne doesn't hesitate. Yes. 6 months later, the Honesty Project launches with a viral video campaign. Not polished corporate messaging, but real people telling real stories about the lies that hurt them and the truths that saved them. A teenage girl who spent years pretending to be happy while drowning in depression, until one honest conversation with her mother changed everything. A businessman who lied about his company's finances until the truth came out and destroyed him, then rebuilt his life on radical transparency. A couple who almost divorced because they were too polite to admit what they really needed from each other. The campaign explodes across social media, not because it's shocking or scandalous, but because it's relatable. Everyone has struggled with the balance between honesty and kindness. Everyone has told lies to protect themselves or others. Everyone wants to learn how to do better. Within 3 months, the Honesty Project is operating in 12 cities across Korea. Within 6 months, they're getting international requests. One afternoon, Anne gets an unexpected call. It's Minseo. "I saw your new project. It's impressive." Anne is immediately suspicious. "What do you want, Minseo?" There's a long pause. When Minseo speaks again, her voice is different, smaller. "I want to tell you the truth about something. When I tried to destroy Jaehyun with that grandmother story, it wasn't just about business. I was jealous. Jealous that you found someone who saw through all your masks and loved you anyway. I've spent 15 years building my career on lies, and I'm so good at it that I don't know who I actually am anymore. I look in the mirror and see a stranger." Anne's anger softens into something unexpected. Recognition. "Minseo, that's the most honest thing I've ever heard you say." Minseo laughs bitterly. "See, even I don't know how to do this. But I'm watching what you and Jaehyun built, and I'm wondering if it's too late for people like me. People who've lied for so long they've forgotten how to stop." Anne thinks about the woman she was 8 months ago. Polished, perfect, empty. It's not too late. It's never too late. If you're serious about wanting to change, we have a workshop next Thursday evening. Come, no judgment, just people trying to figure out how to be more real. Thursday evening arrives. The workshop is held in a small community center, nothing fancy or corporate. 20 people sit in a circle, executives, students, parents, artists. And in the back, trying to be invisible, sits Minseo. Jaehyun leads the session with Anne supporting. "We're going to do something scary tonight," he begins. "We're going to practice telling small truths, not the brutal, destructive kind. Not the polite, meaningless kind. The real, vulnerable kind that actually connects us to each other." He demonstrates first. "My name is Jaehyun. For most of my life, I thought my inability to lie was a curse that made me unlovable. The truth is, I was so afraid of hurting people that I pushed everyone away before they could reject me. I'm still learning that honesty and connection aren't opposites." The room is silent, absorbing his vulnerability. Then slowly, others begin to share. A middle-aged woman admits she tells her husband she's happy when she's actually desperately lonely in their marriage. A young man confesses he lies about having friends because he's too anxious to make real connections. An elderly businessman reveals he's spent 40 years pretending to love his job when he actually wanted to be an artist. When it's Minseo's turn, everyone can feel her reluctance. Anne gives her an encouraging nod. Minseo takes a shaky breath. "My name is Minseo. I built my entire career on helping." Powerful people lie convincingly. I'm very good at it. So good that I don't have a single genuine relationship in my life. Everyone I know is either a client, a competitor, or someone I'm using for information. I came here tonight because I watched 2 people find something real, and I realized I've never had that. I don't even know if I'm capable of it anymore. Her voice cracks on the last word. The woman next to her, a complete stranger, reaches over and squeezes her hand. "You're capable. You're here. That's the first step." Something breaks in Minseo's carefully constructed armor. Tears stream down her face, and for the first time in perhaps decades, she's not performing. She's just being human. After the workshop, Minseo approaches Anne and Jaehyun hesitantly. "Thank you for letting me come. I don't expect forgiveness for what I tried to do, but I want you to know I'm going to try to be different." Anne surprises herself by hugging her former rival. We all get lost sometimes.
Min Seo. What matters is finding our way back. Over the following months, they watch Min Seo slowly transform. She starts declining clients whose causes she doesn't believe in. She begins a blog about the ethics of public relations, brutally honest about her own past mistakes. She even reaches out to some people she hurt over the years to apologize. It's messy and imperfect, but it's real. One evening, she tells Anne, "I lost half my clients when I started being honest about what I would and wouldn't do, but the ones who stayed, those relationships actually mean something now. I never understood what I was missing until I found it." A year after their first meeting, Jaehyun takes Anne back to the rooftop where they first met. The same rooftop where he once stood ready to jump, where she looked at him and felt nothing but annoyance at his dramatics. Now standing in the same spot, everything is different. "Do you remember what you said to me that night?" Jaehyun asks. Anne smiles. "If you want to die, die, but don't die in front of me." Jaehyun laughs. "You were so irritated with me, this dramatic boy interrupting your evening. You had no idea you were about to change my entire life." Anne takes his hands. "You changed mine too. I was so empty, Jaehyun, so hollow. I had money and success and respect, but I had nothing real. You gave me permission to be a person instead of a perfect image." Jaehyun reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small box. Anne's breath catches. "I know we're both young. I know we're still figuring things out. I know I'm still going to accidentally insult people, and you're still going to instinctively craft perfect lies when you're stressed. But here's my truth. I want to spend my life with you, learning together, growing together, being imperfectly, honestly, messily real together." He opens the box. Inside is a simple silver ring with 2 intertwined bands, one smooth and polished, one rough and unfinished. One represents you, one represents me. Together, we make something whole. Anne is crying now, not the practiced tears she used to summon for difficult clients, but real tears of genuine joy. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." He slides the ring onto her finger and kisses her, and below them, the city continues its endless dance of truth and lies, connection and isolation, masks and authenticity. But up on that rooftop, 2 people who learned to see past all of that are just holding each other, grateful for every honest moment that led them here. Before we close this story, I need you to do something for me. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think about your own relationship with honesty, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me what truth you've been afraid to speak, and share this with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to be real. Your support helps me create more stories like this. The final scene comes 2 years later. The Honesty Project has expanded to 40 cities across 5 countries. Anne and Jaehyun are married now, running the organization together while maintaining their consulting work. They're not perfect. They still fight. Jaehyun still sometimes says things too bluntly. Anne still sometimes defaults to diplomatic lies when she's overwhelmed. But they've learned to catch themselves, to apologize, to try again. One morning, Anne discovers she's pregnant. When she tells Jaehyun, his face goes through a dozen emotions in 5 seconds. Shock, fear, joy, terror, love. "I'm going to be a father," he whispers. "What if I say something horrible to our child? What if I hurt them the way I hurt my grandmother?" Anne cups his face in her hands. "You won't, because you're not that 7-year-old boy anymore. You've learned that honesty doesn't mean saying every thought. It means saying the truths that build people up, not tear them down. And if you do mess up, because we all will, you'll apologize and teach them that everyone makes mistakes." 9 months later, they welcomed a daughter. They named her Yuna after Jaehyun's grandmother. When the nurse places her in Jaehyun's arms,
He looks down at this tiny, perfect human and speaks his first words to her. "Hello, Yuna. I'm your father. I'm going to make so many mistakes raising you. I'm going to say the wrong things sometimes. I'm going to be too honest when you need comfort and too gentle when you need truth. But here's what I promise. I will never lie to you about how much I love you. Every single day you will know you are wanted and cherished and enough, exactly as you are." Anne watches her husband, this man who once thought his honesty was a curse, gently holding their daughter and choosing his truths, carefully, lovingly. She thinks about the journey they've taken together, from two broken people hiding behind opposite masks, him hiding behind brutal honesty, her hiding behind perfect lies, to two whole people, learning to navigate the beautiful, complicated space between. The story ends where it began, with a question about truth and lies, about masks and authenticity, about the courage it takes to let yourself be seen. Jaehyun learned that honesty without compassion is cruelty. Anne learned that perfection without authenticity is emptiness. Together they learned that real love exists in the space where you're brave enough to show someone who you really are, and they choose to stay anyway. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Not because you never hurt each other, but because you're willing to be honest about the hurt and work through it together. So here's my final question for you, the one that will determine whether this story lives beyond this video. Would you rather be loved for a beautiful lie or rejected for an ugly truth? Drop your answer in the comments. And remember, the most powerful thing you can do in this world of filters and facades is to simply, bravely, imperfectly be yourself. Thank you for watching. This is your storyteller, reminding you that truth and kindness aren't opposites. They're partners. And when you learn to hold both at the same time, magic happens. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next one.